So what are some great jazz standards to learn for playing jazz gigs? Well, today I'm gonna go over 8 jazz standards you need to know coming right up. So I'm gonna walk you through a set list that I would make for one of my gigs. Not only am I gonna go through the tunes and why I choose them for my set list, I'm also gonna talk about why they are important for you to know. Now we're gonna start off the set with something with a little bit more energy, something swinging, something a lot of fun. And so we're gonna do My Shining Hour by Harold Arlen. So My Shining Hour is a fantastic study of 1, 6, 2, 5 chord progressions, which is a super common chord progression in jazz. So understanding this tune is gonna really give you a big advantage with other ones. As well, it's a great study of relative keys. So the major key being E flat major, and then the minor key being C minor. So a common movement in jazz harmony. I love how in the bridge it goes to the 4 chord, but then also moves to this minor right here, almost giving it this shift to the minor key feeling for a second. So My Shining Hour is a really great tune to learn and a great way to start off a gig. Okay, now for the second song, we want to keep the energy going, keep the crowd interested. So we are going to move into a more minor bluesy kind of tune. So we're going to play Softly as in a Morning Sunrise. Softly as a Morning Sunrise, great study of minor 2-5-1 chord progressions. You have the C minor parent key with that minor 2-5-1, but also there's a lot of really cool chord substitutions that you can use to get around that turnaround with the 2-5-1. So that's a great study in of itself. And kind of the inverse of what My Shining Hour was is for the A section, you actually have the minor key, the parent minor key, but in the bridge, it goes to E flat major, which is the relative major key. So it's another great study as well of passing diminished chords. I find diminished chords can be a little bit tricky to navigate as far as improvisation goes. So studying a tune like this is really gonna help. All right, for song number 3, we need to change the mood up a little bit, get something a little more introspective and a little bit different. So we're gonna play Beatrice by Sam Rivers. Now, Beatrice is a good example of mixing modal harmony with functional diatonic harmony. So it starts in F major, which is technically the key center, but there's lots of these interesting half-step chromatic moving major 7th chords, like in bar number 2. And then when we have this F major again, we transition it with an E flat major, chromatically moving down to the D minor, the 6th chord, which again rotates between the D minor and the E flat. So lots of interesting chromatic movement, as well as these interesting sidestep 2-5s, which definitely come up in jazz a lot. And then we go to this A minor with the 3 chord, and again, a chromatic moving major 7th chord a half step away. So this happens a lot in this tune, so that's why we call it a mixture of modal and functional harmony. Again, example in the end here, G minor, G flat major to F minor to G flat major. So Beatrice is a great study of this mixture of a type of tune. Okay, now at this point, we really need to bring the energy way back up. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna play an up-tempo tune. Every gig should have at least one up-tempo tune. And the one I'm gonna do is All the Things You Are. Now, whether you're playing All the Things You Are fast, slow, or medium tempo, it's just a really enjoyable tune to improvise over. I particularly like that it goes through 5 different key centers: A flat major, C major, E flat major, G major, and then finally in the bridge it goes to E major. So that keeps it really interesting for me and just a lot of fun to solo over. It's a great study of chord cycling in fourths, so that's something else that you should consider. And it is a challenging tune, but knowing this tune will really help you in all the rest of your other improvisations. Now, by the way, if you need any help learning any of these jazz standards, I highly recommend picking up my free guide called Learn Jazz Standards the Smart Way. You can find it at learnjazzstandardsthesmartway.com. calm, completely free, will help you cut down the amount of time it takes to learn a jazz standard, help you so you don't get lost, and so that you never forget them. Okay, for song number 5, let's bring the energy way, way down, and every single gig should also have a ballad. So we're going to slow the tempo down and play Misty. Now, Misty is one of the most commonly known ballads that I'm aware of, so one of those that you absolutely have to know just for the sake that it's going to be called a lot, but I also think it has really interesting harmony. I love how it goes to the 4 chord, but then has this backdoor dominant that goes to the E flat again at the top. Backdoor dominant's important harmonic function in jazz to be aware of, as well as just showing you how to play great turnarounds, the 3, 6, 2, 5. I also think it's really interesting that in the bridge, it goes to the 4 chord, so it sounds like you're in the key center of A flat, but then it has this interesting A minor D7 that makes it sound like you're in a new key for a second before going to B flat and eventually making its way back to the E flat. So there's a lot of harmonic movement. I wouldn't say it's an easy ballad, but it's a really important one to know. Now for song number 6, we've really brought the energy down a lot. So now let's bring it back up, and I like to do that with a medium tempo tune that swings really hard. So we're gonna do There Is No Greater Love. This is just one of those feel-good tunes, definitely one that is called a lot. It's in B flat major, and it has a lot of just traditional jazz harmony with the 1, 4, 3, 6, the dominant 2 chord hanging out there for a while before going to the minor 2 chord. Happens all the time in jazz, so being familiar with that is great. This is another great example of a tune that goes between relative keys, the relative major, parent major in this case, and then the relative minor, which is G minor in the bridge. So lots of opportunity to play bluesy stuff and lots of opportunity to play great traditional jazz lines. For song number 7, once again, I want to change up the feel a little bit of the gig. So we're going to go to a modal tune, and we're going to play Impressions by John Coltrane. Impressions is actually a contrafact of the Miles Davis composition So What? So it's really just based off of 2 chords. It's based off of D minor, and it's based off of E flat minor. And the idea is that over the D minor, you're playing more D Dorian modal ideas and E flat Dorian ideas. Knowing this modal harmony is a great idea for trying to force yourself to be creative, as well as the practice of keeping your spot in the form, because it's easy to get lost when you only have 2 chords to play with. So this is a great practice in that in of itself. Okay, one more song to go. Before we go to that one, I want to hear from you in the show notes or the comments below. If you only had 8 songs to play for your set, which jazz standards would you choose? So give me your 8-song jazz standard set list. Let me know. Love to hear your thoughts. All right, so we're at the last song of the gig. Now, there is almost no better way, in my opinion, to end a gig with some high energy on a blues. So absolutely, let's go ahead and do a blues. I'm gonna play Tenor Madness by Sonny Rollins. What more can I say about the blues other than you really should be able to play it in all 12 keys, know it super well, because it's like the foundation of jazz and jazz improv. Know the blues inside and out, and honestly, you're gonna have an amazing advantage over all other jazz standards. Learn a ton of different blues heads as well. Tenor Madness is just one of them. Have a bunch in your arsenal and you'll be set to go. Blues, always an amazing way to end a jazz gig. If you want another list of jazz standards to learn as well, I have a video on the screen right now that you can click into. It's called 10 must-know jazz standards for jam sessions, ones that are commonly called in jam sessions. So go watch that video right now to learn another set of 10 jazz standards. That's all for today's video. Make sure you like this video if you found it valuable, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.